G'day, it's Robbie again. Well, in that last video I showed you the little vice clamp that I got from Alan in the UK, and it needs a little bit of work, but overall it's not too bad. I've soaked it in petrol overnight, and I had thought about using electrolysis to sort of clean it up more, but it would destroy the finish it's got on it, which looks like nickel plating, so we won't do that. We'll just wire buff off any rust. Like there's some stuff there. I'll use the little pencil air die grinder with a wire buff in it. So I'm in the process of making up a new collar for it. It's a ferrule, and it's a good opportunity to show you just why collets are so good. You know, they're fantastic for this sort of work. In here is all my old brass odds and sods, and I found a bit of brass which actually is close to what I want, and I've got it set up in the old Shawblin over there at the moment. And I also found a BSF bolt which will go in here, so that'll be good for the other handle I make up, because I will make another handle up. So yeah, that was a bit lucky. I haven't got a lot of BSF stuff, but that one's the right size. Perfect. So for now we're just going to machine up a new ferrule collar for this thing. It was originally held on with a couple of little pins, but I don't want to I tried to knock the pin out and it wouldn't move, so I've decided I'll just grind the ends off and I'll slip a new ferrule straight over. I won't pin it through as I had on here, and you can see how that's split. So I'll make the ferrule slightly thicker, and I'll araldite it on with some clear araldite, and that'll never come off and it will look pretty good. So I'll show you how the collets are coming into their own on this sort of job. Here I've got the collet block set up in the vice. Why would you do that? Well, it's good because you can hold stuff. In this case I had to just sand around to rough up the wood a bit so the araldite will grip properly. To do that you've got to hold it with collets. This is where these collet blocks are really handy, and then you can just sand around with your sandpaper. Collets are fantastic. Anything round, threaded or thin walled, you can't beat it. You can't beat them. So yeah, that's that collet block that I reviewed. I got it from Banggood a while back, and gee, it's handy. It's so good. You know, plus you can also just reposition it and take it out as you want to, and yeah, hold it by hand, put it in any way you want. I put some jaw pads in there just so they don't mark the faces, but yeah, pretty good, eh? Pretty good. So that's one use of collet. People don't always think about this sort of work holding away from the lathe, but they are very good for that sort of job. Okay, let's head over to the Shawblin and I'll show you what's happening over there. Alright, here's the old Shawblin, and this is a handy old girl, I've got to say. It's one of the best things I've bought over the years, and I didn't pay a lot for it. In this case I've got the collar in there. It's actually bronze. I've got a bit of bronze I'm going to make it out of rather than a brass. The one that Alan's got has got looks like a nickel plated or steel collar. You know, I don't think it really matters, as long as it looks nice. Just protect the wood a bit. So I've got a brass bush I've machined out. I'm using a little boring bar, and we can just size it on the lathe. So I'll come around the back and give you a look at the operation. Once again, you're holding a thin-walled piece of tubing with a collet. While we're at it, I'll show you a trick to get short work squared up in collets, particularly ER32s. In this case we're using the end of the collet, and they can actually cant the work if you're not careful. So the easy way to get your work square before you lock it up, you know, bearing in mind that this has been machined beforehand and everything's symmetrical, and what you do is you use a tailstock. You get a collet with a small centre, and you put it in the tailstock. Bearing in mind I always use this collet chuck in the tailstock anyway, so it's ready to go. Put it in, just pull it up so it pulls in firm. We'll just do it by hand, and we use that to square up the job in the other collet. You just slide up the tailstock. Here she comes, and we just make sure that's loosened off a bit. Wind up your tailstock until she bites into it. Pull her up. Come away, and that will be square. Now you can lock that up, and then we can do the trimming on the end. I've just got to take off that black line that you can see there, and that'll be enough depth, I think. So yeah, lock her up and away we go. We just have to machine this out a bit so that this will fit. This is the little quick change tool post that I got from Banggood. It's aluminium. It works great on this size lathe, it's perfect. Where it's always good to have a second little lathe that you can just really set up the collets all the time, and saves a lot of chuck swapping. It's like very convenient. I only paid $370 for this old lathe. It was a wreck, but once again, if you're prepared to put the time in, you can turn it into something useful. Yeah, perfect. Perfecto. Bit of arrowdite, and that will be the bee's knees. Alright, we'll head back to the bench now and put it together. Okay, here's the old one that I showed you before. Here's the new one. It was made out of a bit of bronze and put it on. I'm not going to polish this, I'll leave it in its natural weathered state. Perfecto, look at that. Perfecto. That little bit of a ring that was on it already will look pretty cool, I reckon. So that'll go on. Bit of arrowdite. That length is perfecto. You wouldn't pick that from the factory job. I've still got a bit of bronze left over. It's a bit out of round on one end. I'm going to have to just square that up again. I'll just use the device to squash it back into shape. And when it's machined, you won't notice it anyway. So I want to do the handle that goes on the side. I've got my bit of brass, a bit of bronze already. I can make it look exactly the same. Just put a little parting off blade mark in it. So there you go, easy peasy. You know, if you've got a lathe, you can do these jobs. Cheap Chinese lathe, anything, but collets. Collets are the way to get. I mean, they will save you hours and hours of frustration. They make everything so easy when you work on thin walled stuff like this. There's no way you could grip this with a normal chuck. However, I will say, if you ever use collets, always clean them after you use them, particularly when you're boring. The boring barrel will deposit a lot of crap in there if it's a short job. You know, we're only gripping with half of the collet, which is not ideal. You should use the full length. That's why they can a bit if you're only pulling up on one half. So the trick I showed you is to make sure you square yourself up. Works well, and it'll get you out of jail every time. All right, that's it. Keep your collets clean. Buy some collets. Get going with those, and you'll never look back. Okay, that's it for me. See you next time. Cheers.